It is a very, very warm day in New York City, which I think is a perfect atmosphere to talk about the newest musical to hit theaters and HBO Max, In the Heights. Hey, I'm Dylan Randazzo. Welcome to the Dill Pickle Movie Network. I'm so excited to be talking about, as I said, In the Heights, which is a musical adaptation of the same name. Music by, of course, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who you know from Moana and Hamilton and the Bring It On musical, and directed by John M. Chu, who you saw do Crazy Rich Asians just a few years ago. The film follows Usnavi, played by Anthony Ramos, who you might recognize from Hamilton, or A Star is Born, also from a few years ago. He's telling the story to four young kids about sueñitos, and those are basically little dreams. And he's telling the story about his own dreams and his ambitions growing up and being a young adult in Washington Heights.
All right, everybody sit down, sit down. It's a story of a block that was disappearing.
He also talks about the sueñitos, or dreams, of his other friends in this community in Washington Heights, and the story basically follows this whole ensemble of different characters and different personalities as they strive to achieve their own personal dreams, dreams with one another, with family, with relationships, with friends, with love interests, and of course goals and dreams for their whole community. Because this is a movie that is so focused on community and the aspect of togetherness. For the interest of spoilers, I will not get into what exactly those dreams are, but the basic premise is that there are all these dreamers in Washington Heights, and we get to see their stories come to life. Like I said, this is a movie about community, and I think coming off of the whole year we've had, the past year and a half actually, you know, when the whole planet is going through the same exact thing, and some people are still going through very, very hard times involving the pandemic, I think a movie like this is a great way to kind of lift our spirits up and bring about this sense of joy and community and togetherness and holding those ones you love close. So many people around the world's lives have been so changed by what's been going on that having a movie like this really, really lifts up the spirits first and foremost. Of course, there are moments that get deeper and darker and really tackle some hard issues that we're facing, especially in 2021, issues that are really being talked about so much. You know, they do bring a lot of that into these characters' personal stories too, because of course, with every dream comes an obstacle. There are a lot of obstacles that these characters have to overcome, but at the end of the day, it is about celebration of life, celebration of heritage, of culture, of togetherness, of community, and I think that's going to be something that really resonates, not just at home if you're watching it on HBO Max, but in a theater. My theater specifically just had a great time watching this movie. It was not a disruptive kind of noise, but there was a lot of laughter. There was a lot of cheering at certain moments. The crowd I was in the theater with applauded, I think, 6 times. I think I counted 6 times. One very early on when the first title, In the Heights, popped up, everyone was applauding. But even some of the softer character moments throughout the movie, there were moments where the audience applauded because the work of the actors is so good, and the way the stories really speak to us and the human soul were just so resonant that people felt the need to applaud. And honestly, sometimes it annoys me when people applaud in a movie theater, but I definitely welcomed it, and I applauded too, because there are some moments that are really amazing, and moments that almost make you feel like you're part of the action itself. You know, you're sitting in a theater, or you're sitting at home, but it does feel sometimes like these characters are right in front of you, like you're looking out the window at these streets, at these groups of people singing and dancing in the streets, and it's really beautiful to see, and occasionally you have to remind yourself, oh wait, this is a screen, there is a barrier, but it doesn't feel that way at times. And those are the best movies, the ones that immerse us in the action that's going on screen.
The streets were made of music.
Like I said, this is a musical based on a very popular musical, adapted from a very popular musical, and I think, you know, the thing that you need to nail first and foremost when it comes to a musical is the song and dance itself, and I think this movie does an incredible job. Lin-Manuel Miranda's songs are so good. This is actually my favorite of his soundtracks. Of all the different Broadway shows he's done, In the Heights has always been my favorite, even though, you know, Hamilton is amazing, and I love it so much, and Bring It On is great, but this has been the musical soundtrack that I've really been drawn to the most. Even though I haven't listened to it as much as some of the others, I've really appreciated the use and blend of different styles, different genres, different ways of storytelling through song. I've really appreciated it. So to see it come to life with a visual, with all these people dancing, so many different unique ways of choreographing these numbers, my mouth was open like this so many times throughout the movie, because I was just like, wow, that was so cool.
we are non-stop.
Every director tries to bring something new to the table when it comes to staging big musical numbers, but this one especially just really blew me away with some of the different techniques that the choreographers, that the filmmakers, the cinematographers, that they all used. John M. Chu really broke out with his first film, Crazy Rich Asians, a few years ago, and that movie also struck me as a movie that was just so beautiful to look at, so rich with color and vibrancy, and this film is no exception either. This film really dives into those beautiful, colorful moments, not just with the personalities and the character and the diverse cast, but actual colorful set pieces and costumes and props and just the use of the neighborhoods. Every number has its own personality and uniqueness. You know, the overall feel of the musical numbers and the songs and the dances themselves, you know, it's all within a similar vein, but each individual song has its own personality that I think sets each song apart from one another very nicely, and I think it's really cool to see the different filmmaking techniques that John M. Chu and the rest of the production team brings to each individual song. Of course, with the song has to come the singers too, and I think this cast is really amazing. You have some familiar faces. Of course, Anthony Ramos, like I said, was in A Star Is Born, was in Hamilton, but even he, I think, is still breaking out as an actor, as a big screen actor, and I think he does an amazing job. Corey Hawkins, who I didn't even know sang and danced, sings and dances with such ease and smoothness and beauty. I mean, he was really incredible.
What? You still ain't got no skills.
Other actors that I haven't seen in things, like Leslie Grace as Nina, Melissa Barrera as Vanessa, and then of course Olga Moretti's as Abuela. I think, you know, grandmothers in films can really be the heart and soul of a movie. You know, we saw that with Minari. Yoon Yoo-jung won an Oscar for it. I think Olga Moretti's could be in the conversation for an award as well, because she has some of the most touching and beautiful character moments in this whole film. Jimmy Smits is great too. He doesn't get to dance and sing as much as the rest, but he does bring some really awesome emotional beats as well. And it's just great to see him in this film. You know, I grew up watching him as Princess Leia's adoptive father in the Star Wars movies. To see him here also as that parenting role, I liked his role a lot in this film as well. I just think the ensemble across the board is just so talented. You know, they bring great vocal ability, great dance ability. I mean, this whole cast dances to some extent. They're front and center dancing these dances as well as singing them. Of course, there is stuff that's pre-recorded, and sometimes you can hear the auto-tune slip in a little bit. You can tell that it's a studio recording, but most of the time, you know, I had to remind myself, oh, wait, you know, these are studio recorded songs, and they do a really good job mixing the sound, blending the sound. Maybe it was the atmosphere of the theater. I don't know how it'll play at home, but I'm sure it'll be more or less the same. Just a really great blend of the musical instrumentation and the vocals themselves. You know, it's really hard in a musical to try to find that balance and not make things sound fake, and I think this movie does a good job of doing so. I also have to bring up Lin-Manuel Miranda as the Piragua guy. Lin-Manuel Miranda played the lead character of Usnavi on Broadway, but now he's a little bit too old for the role. You know, he wanted to, of course, give it to someone who's more fitting for this role at this time period, you know, years and years after the Broadway musical came out, but they did want him to be involved in some capacity, and he is. And he has a great role as this guy who sells piragua, which is basically shaved ice with some flavored syrup on top. He brings such a fun presence to a film that is already so high-spirited and so energetic and full of life. You know, there are cliches that film critics, you know, throw out, like, this is a feel-good movie, or this is the movie that we needed right now. I think every movie is needed in some capacity, good or bad. I don't think there's any movie that is more needed than others, but all that being said, I think if you are gonna say that a movie is perfect for the time right now and the film that we need right now, I think this is kind of it. You know, this is the film that feels like a perfect way to welcome people back from the theaters of all ages, of all races, of all different walks of life. I think this is a movie that, while it is very focused on a very specific walk of life, a very specific group and community of people, I think everyone can find relatability in these characters, especially Usnavi, who is just such a great leading character. You know, Anthony Ramos is a little bit more suave than Lin-Manuel Miranda was as Usnavi on Broadway, but I think Anthony Ramos, even in those moments with Vanessa, when he has this crush on this girl and he's interacting with her, it's so awkward, and he kind of does this little smile and giggle at times, and it's really nice to see. You know, these characters are just so relatable, and the whole story just covers so many different aspects of the human experience, of immigrant experience, of the experience of living in this community. I related to the idea of walking around the streets and it being 100 degrees and then coming inside and realizing that the air conditioner was either not working or the power was off, and having to feel that sense of heat and exhaustion. You know, the film even touches upon that. You know, everyone can find a different piece of relatability in this story, and I think that's what makes it so beautiful. There are going to be some purists out there who love the musical so much and don't want to see any changes, but I do think the changes made to this movie from the musical are welcome changes. I think they don't take anything away from these characters, but rather add to their arcs, you know, give them more motivations for the things they're doing, give the audience more reasons to relate to them and to root for them. You know, there are some moments here or there that are taken away that some audience members who love the musical might be like, oh, I wish that was still there. But I think all in all, the actual spirit of what this show and what this movie stand for is all there. You know, that idea of community, togetherness, heritage, culture. I think that is the most important thing about In the Heights, and that is what this movie does so well. You know, some plot points are changed, but all in all, it's the same exact theme and idea of what Lin-Manuel Miranda enchanted audiences with in 2008, and is still enchanting audiences with this movie now in 2021. So that's my review of In the Heights. As you can tell by my beaming smile, I liked it a whole lot. I do recommend it. If you can get to a theater safely, please do, because I do think this movie deserves both your money and your attention on the biggest screen possible. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below. Like, subscribe, please. Every view goes a long way. Every like goes a long way. Every subscription goes a long way. I really, really do appreciate all the people who have watched my videos. I hope you like In the Heights, and if you do, come back here and let me know what you thought in the comments. I always love to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much. May all your sueñitos come true. See you next time.